Hello fans, Damian Nelson coming to you here from the PWR News Desk with results from tonight's NXT TakeOver The End event from Orlando, Florida. This event was very, very anticipated as it was headlined by the main event of a very first ever steel cage match in NXT for the NXT Championship between champion Samoa Joe and challenger Finn Balor. Damian Nelson coming to you here again with this primetime update. NXT TakeOver The End is in the record books, and Samoa Joe is still the NXT World Heavyweight Champion in a definitive fashion as he left Finn Balor laying in the ring. Well after the end of the matchup, Balor defeated solidly by Samoa Joe tonight, and now the speculation, of course, begins of Finn Balor leaving NXT and on his way up to WWE. But which show will he land on? Will it be Raw or will it be SmackDown? Now, we found out at the beginning of tonight's NXT event that the title, The End, which a lot of people speculated on, including us on last week's primetime, actually on earlier tonight, last night's, Be the Booker for NXT TakeOver, that the end was the end of the beginning. Definitely a telling sign of what we were to see tonight at NXT TakeOver from Orlando, Florida. As I said, Samoa Joe defeats Finn Balor, retains the NXT Championship, leaves Balor laying in the ring, but there was a title change that did take place tonight at NXT TakeOver, and that was the Revival taking the Tag Team Championships from American Alpha. Again, new tag team champions crowned in that matchup. An amazing matchup, a tremendously physical matchup between two great tag teams. You gotta wonder if American Alpha is on their way up to the main roster as well from NXT. But an interesting development after this matchup, as we saw two men who weren't immediately recognizable, but then were revealed as the authors of pain. Yes, the authors of pain, two huge men, a tag team attacking the Revival after the matchup, and got more interesting from there as then out the entranceway came a wrestling managing legend, the man who managed the Legion of Doom for a number of years, Precious Paul Ellering, WWE Hall of Famer Precious Paul Ellering, aligned now with the authors of pain. And I gotta say, Paul Ellering looks like he hasn't aged one bit since his earlier days carrying around the Wall Street Journal as managing the Legion of Doom. So interesting there that the authors of pain now part of NXT and seemingly thrust right in to the tag team picture under the tutelage of one Precious Paul Ellering. Another matchup that happened on the show, actually this was the opening matchup, as Ty Dillinger took on Andrade Almas. Almas would get the win in the matchup over Ty Dillinger, who was incredibly well received by the fans, but it would not be his night. As I said, Almas getting the win in the opening contest of NXT TakeOver tonight from Orlando, Florida. Another very anticipated matchup was for the NXT Women's Championship as Asuka defended against Nia Jax. A physical matchup as expected. Nia Jax doing very well in the matchup until the very end where she would come up short. Asuka wins and retains the NXT Women's Championship. As a matter of fact, after the matchup, the trainers tending to Nia Jax in the ring as Asuka gave her that bad a beating in this matchup. It's still a very good showing for Nia Jax in this match. And the other big matchup that everyone was looking forward to, and believe me fans when I say this match delivered, it was Nakamura versus Aries. And wow, all over the place. As a matter of fact, the fans were so into this matchup they couldn't even get their "this is awesome" and holy you know what that is, chants out there as frequently as you would have expected, because they were that engaged in this tremendous matchup from two tremendous performers. A great wrestling exhibition as Nakamura defeats Austin Aries tonight at NXT TakeOver. Another notable event at TakeOver tonight was the appearance of Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode, who was called out, not in a bad way, just happened to see each other backstage by NXT General Manager William Regal, who then had a conversation of some sort with Bobby Roode. So it looks like part of the, I guess, the new beginning of NXT will include Bobby Roode. Now, many people are expecting Bobby Roode to get that main roster call-up, and some saying he doesn't need that time in like NXT. But if you're losing a Finn Balor, And who knows what's going to be next with Nakamura, who I think still has some shelf life in NXT because we haven't seen him there much. I think it might be too early, not because of his ability, but because of his utilization. Too early for him to be called up to the main roster. But you got a Bobby Roode who needs to fill the space of a lot of those people who might be called up, including, as we talked about before, American Alpha. So that was NXT TakeOver from Orlando, Florida, the end of the beginning. Samoa Joe retains his championship. Nakamura defeats Austin Aries. Asuka retains her women's championship. The Revival are the new tag team champions. Paul Ellering makes an appearance and is apparently the man behind the Authors of Pain. And Almas defeats Dillinger. A great show as expected from NXT, folks. We're going to have more episodes of the Pro Wrestling Report this weekend. No Feedback Friday this week due to some scheduling and travel conflicts with the team. But Primetime will be back this Saturday night with Be the Booker for TNA Slammiversary and a look at the possibility of some more big returns to WWE over the next few weeks. Also, discussion on whether or not SmackDown will be the new Raw. For the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Update, this is Damian Nelson. We'll see you Friday for a brand new edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime.